Yeah, I'm going to continue the theme and sit for my talk. Maybe I'll move to the middle for the camera. And I took a lot of inspiration from Carl and designed this deck using pixel art. So hopefully we can make this a theme in the Superchain and just have a lot of pixel art. But yeah, any Zelda players here in the audience? Yeah, nice. Okay, this deck is for you guys. Yeah, so I think by now you've probably heard, right? Celo is transitioning from an L1 to an L2 using OP Stack. We're going to be moving all of the great things that exist on top of Celo today, all of the amazing mobile payment applications like Velora and MiniPay, all of the amazing refi applications, everything that makes Celo just this amazing, special ecosystem. All of that is coming to an OP Stack-based L2, sitting, of course, underneath Ethereum. And, we've started this journey to do this work quite a while ago now. I think it's about 1.5 years ago. And back then, we were deep in the forest. We had this goal, but, we really didn't know how much work it would take and just how vast the journey would be. And so over time, we kind of learned the landscape. We got a sense of just how big of a arduous challenge this was. And we finally got to the castle. And now we are inside the castle, and we have finally found the final boss. And so maybe for those of you who don't like metaphors, here's our upgrade schedule that I've been sharing now at many events. And this is what it looked like at DevCon when I last talked about this. So we launched the Dango hard fork at ECC last summer. Then in September, we upgraded our main developer network, Alpha Horus, which has been running since, again, September. And then at DevCon, we were like, okay, Baklava is next. And it's basically going to be the final dry run before mainnet. And I'm pretty excited to share, for those of you who haven't followed, that Baklava has hard forked last week. Woo! Yeah. And, again, that was the final dry run that is now behind us. All of the validators that were running the Baklava network came together. They upgraded to the latest L1 client, and then also, helped create an uncontentious hard fork to the Cell2 client, again, on the testnet. And so, yeah, we filled that in February 20th. And now, the final remaining step is the mainnet upgrade. And today, with honestly a lot of trepidation, in large part because of Olszewski and where it is right now, it's totally stalled and it's creating a lot of pain for all of Ethereum. And there's some amazing Ethereum core devs that are working on fixing it, but we are still very hopeful that they can fix it soon. But assuming that they fix it soon, we're excited to share today that the mainnet will hard fork in exactly 1 month on March 25th. Woohoo! At 3 a.m. UTC. And 3 a.m. UTC might be an odd choice, and the reason for that is because we have a lot of real-world users using the Celo network, many of whom are in the African continent, and we want them to not be aware that anything is happening, and so they will be soundly asleep while our engineers and the broader ecosystem is hard at work. Making sure that when they wake up, they have a amazing, upgraded, squeaky, shiny new network. And again, we have this big asterisk here, assuming Olszewski is fixed in the next week. And I say that because both Baklava and Alpha Horus are our two main developer testnets. They're effectively tied to Olszewski. Celo uses EigenDA, and EigenDA is on Olszewski, not Sepolia. And so right now, both of those networks are stalled. We're really hoping that Olszewski and the Ethereum core team can get it up and running soon. But yeah, if they do, March 25th. Pretty amazing. And so if you've been following along, or maybe if you haven't been following along, for the remainder of this talk, I just have 5 things that I think you absolutely need to know about the upcoming hard fork. This is good if you're in the Celo ecosystem, but even if you're outside of the Celo ecosystem, maybe you're another chain that's interested in doing something similar. Certainly if you're an alt L1 EVM chain, highly encourage you to use this as a case study and follow suit. And then if you're in neither of these 2 camps, hopefully this will just be interesting for you regardless, because it's a really big technical challenge. And there's been a lot of work that's gone into this. So the first thing that I want everyone to know is that this upgrade, and this might be obvious given that we announced a hard fork date just now, but we are doing this upgrade through a hard fork. And so when a lot of people hear about the fact that we're doing this migration, they instantly assume that this is what the state of the upgrade will be, that there will be an L1 chain, and then there will be a new chain, an L2 chain, and they will live side by side, and we will tell all our users, you have to figure it out. You have to figure out how to move over. And this is not what we're doing. We made a very conscious choice early on to do the much harder thing, which is to actually keep the entire chain history, to keep the entire block height, or to have the block heights stay the same, both pre and post upgrade, and effectively for this upgrade to happen with a hard fork. And once again, what's the date for that? That's right, you guys are catching on. Let's hope it doesn't change. Okay, and I think, again, coming back to our metaphor of us setting out on this big journey, I don't think we truly realized just how hard it would be to do this. And I've shared this before. This is a hard fork, but really, as we've gone on that journey, we've learned that this is in fact more than just a hard fork, and in fact, it is a hard fork. And so you might have seen on Twitter, I've been using 2 rocks and a fork in my display name. This really is freaking hard. And I think both from an engineering perspective, but also from an ecosystem perspective, the team has just been doing so much to prepare for this. And the good news for many is that only full nodes ultimately have to do anything when this hard fork happens. This is akin to most hard forks. And that means that, again, for all the end users, for all the builders building dApps, anybody writing smart contracts on Celo, hopefully you will have to do nothing. And hopefully, you're using an RPC provider that will do the upgrade. The one thing that you may want to do is just encourage those RPC providers. Make sure if you're using a very obscure one that maybe we've never heard of, definitely let them know they need to upgrade. And so, we've been in touch with a lot of these full node operators over the last few months, but I may have not reached all of them. And so this is my attempt to page, all the remaining full node operators that we haven't been able to reach. The upgrade is happening. When's it happening? March 25th. That means you have 1 month to prepare for this. And so the time is certainly now to do so. Cool. So the second thing I want you guys all to know is that we are actually migrating to a new blockchain client and a whole new stack, right? We're obviously very, very excited to be using OP Stack, and we're just absolutely thrilled about this choice and about the partnership we've had from OP Labs and the Optimism Foundation. We're also using ETHDenver in order to keep gas cheap, even when blobs get congested, which hopefully any day now, maybe. But certainly a lot of folks are expecting a lot of demand for block space in the coming months and years. And our users in particular are expecting cheap gas fees, and so we're using ETHDenver. And the really cool stat that I pulled this morning is that with this migration to this new stack, we have effectively eliminated 365,000 lines of code that exists in the diff between the L1 client and get. It's kind of a coincidence that this is also the number of days in a year. But, you know, I guess we can do the math, how productive our engineers were over the last 4 or 5 years. But, you know, this is a colossal amount of code that we are effectively deleting. And that's great for eliminating technical debt. That's good for being nimble in the future. It's also a great testament to OP Stack. And so we're just really, really excited about this change. And then the other thing that we're super stoked about, you know, Celo has 5-second block times today, but we are moving to 1-second block times tomorrow. And so for all of you who want to wait 4 seconds less for your transactions to settle, this is good news for you. You know, I think the interfaces for all of the mobile apps and just the apps built on top of Celo, they're just going to feel so much snappier, and it's all going to happen overnight without really any work by these folks. So definitely something to get excited about. But because we have 2 clients, we will now live in this world where we have to think about 2 clients. And this really only, and so with this hard fork, effectively the way this manifests is before the hard fork, everyone's going to be running the current L1 client. And then at the date of the hard fork, they will then have to switch and use the new client. And again, only full node operators have to do this, so it's relatively easy for them to make this change. It's somewhat similar to just upgrading the client version, only in this case you have a whole new client. And then if you are a archive node, there is one unique thing that you should be aware of. And that's, you know, we wanted to delete those lines of code. We didn't want to port them over into OP Stack. And so if you are trying to serve RPC requests that are querying past state of the blockchain, which is common for an archive node, then you, as an archive node operator, will have to set up both an L1 and an L2 node and then connect them together so that the L2 node can proxy those requests over to the L1 node. This is a really nice way of us, again, being able to eliminate all of that code. And of course, you know, this is not that unusual because this is also what OP does with the Bedrock upgrade. Archive nodes for OP mainnet also proxy requests. And so this design was heavily inspired by what OP is doing today. But it does mean that if you are an archive node operator and we have not been able to reach you, and we have been trying for a long time and we have reached many of them, but maybe there are more of you out there. This is me telling you, you need to upgrade and be ready. By when? March 25th. And you will likely have to run 2 clients. Again, only archive node operators. Perfect. Okay, so now the third thing that I want you guys to take away from this talk is that full nodes will have to migrate their chain data as part of the switch from one client to another. And so this means that at the time of the hard fork, this is optional. But if you are one of those people that does not trust anyone, maybe you are, you know, an exchange and you have a lot of high-value transactions on your exchange and you do not want to trust anyone through this hard fork, then you will have to migrate your chain data so that it's converted into a format that is compatible with the new client. And so the new client can't just read the old client's chain data because the formats are slightly different. And again, we didn't want to port those changes over to the new client. We wanted to eliminate lines of code. And so this does mean that there's this one-time requirement to migrate your chain data. This is optional. If you're happy to trust a like client protocol, then you can just snap sync after the migration happens. But if you are one of those, rightly so, believe in no one, trust but verify people, then absolutely you will want to run this migration script. And you're going to want to run it on March 25th. Perfect. So again, paging all node operators. If you do not want to trust anyone with a snap sync, then be prepared to run this data migration script. We've done a lot of work to make this really nice. We have a lot of Docker tooling You can actually run this ahead of time so that the majority of the migration is done before the hard fork, and then just do a shorter migration after the hard fork happens. That way you can keep the downtime for your full node really, really short. But definitely something that you need to be aware of. Cool. Okay, the fourth thing, which I think is pretty interesting, is that Celo, the token, will have a new home after this change. And so we are an existing L1 today, so of course the Celo network is the home of the Celo token today. But after this change, there will be a canonical version of Celo that will be deployed on Ethereum, and the entire supply of that token will be thrown into the native bridge that connects Celo to Ethereum. And effectively at that point, there will be two versions of Celo, and you can move back and forth between Ethereum. Yeah, the Celo version will effectively be kind of the bridge version using the native bridge from Ethereum. So this is pretty cool. Probably a first. I don't know. Anybody heard of any other chain doing this? Getting lots of no's. We're pretty stoked by this, but it does mean that if you are an exchange, you may want to consider supporting deposits and withdrawals from both chains, right? I think most exchanges now support depositing and withdrawing to Celo, but now some users, maybe not, would want to go to Ethereum directly. So pretty cool. Awesome. And then the final thing I want you to know, and I think you guys have already learned this thing, which is great, which is the date. When is it happening? Yes, with an asterisk, assuming Olszewski comes up soon. And once again, 3 a.m. As soon as Olszewski is up, we're gonna pick a block height that lands right around this time. Again, we want most of our users to sleep through this whole event. Just out of a coincidence, for folks who are on the West Coast, this will be at a very good time for a hard fork viewing party. So for anybody who's in San Francisco around then, we're going to be having a really nice event. Vitalik is going to come and speak. Hopefully not in this pixelated fashion, but we're really excited, and you're all welcome to come. I think again, this is likely going to be a really big moment certainly for Celo, but also for Ethereum, for the Superchain, and hopefully for all the crypto. And yeah, just wanted to end with a thank you to everyone at OP Labs, at the Optimism Foundation, at EigenDA. All of the Celo validators who have been so helpful and who allowed us to do this amazing dress rehearsal with the Baklava hard fork last week. All the RPC providers, there's many of them out there, and a lot of the work falls on them to upgrade to the latest client. A lot of the bridges and bridge front ends that have been really nimble through all of these upgrades. The block explorers, of course, exchanges, and honestly, all partners in the Celo ecosystem. You guys have been just absolutely amazing. And yeah, I'm really excited to do the upgrade with you. It's going to be, I think, pretty exciting. I really do think that this could kick off, the start of something interesting. There's a lot of alt L1 EVM chains out there. And I think if everything goes well, and it will go well because we've been working so hard on this diligently for the last year and a half, then I think many of them are going to be like, maybe this is something that we should do as well. So yeah, mainnet is coming. Really excited about that. And yeah, thank you for your time.
So is there any questions in the crowd?
What's the date?
No? All right. That's all good. All right. Thank you so much, Marek. Looking forward to end of March.
Oh, one question.
Oh, there we go.
So the Celo token that will be on L2, will it be the Superchain standard ERC20?
It's a good question. I don't believe that is deployed into the native bridge code right now from OP Stack, so I don't think so. But of course, it's upgradable, and so we'll be upgrading to that certainly as soon as it's there.
And so if I understand correctly, so the Celo token that we have right now, it will become the L2 token, right?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.